Hello and welcome back to the Crewcast. This is our second session, most likely going to be the third episode, but we'll see how that actually turns out. Hi, welcome back. I'm Gabe, your moderator and host, and here I have some lovely folks with me today to decide which video game sequel is the best of them all. You know what? We talked about it beforehand and trying to decide whether or not we should do intros in the third episode because we didn't do it at the beginning, but screw it. You guys want to go off?
Yeah, I feel like, what's up? I'm Mark. I'm here to party.
Cool dude.
Yeah, that was Mark. I'm Matt. And I'm also ready to party. We're ready to romp up in this thing that I can't say.
Nice. Good job. Very nice.
Hi, my name is Maceo. I enjoy long walks on the beach, and I am ready to just flow. Blah, blah, blah.
Amazing.
And I'm Alex, and I'm just happy to be here.
Great. All right, gang's all here. So,
And this is Gabe, the dipshit who has no idea what he's doing.
yeah, pretty much.
Didn't have intros.
This is half-assed at best. All right. So, since the last time, as a reminder, the basic rules of the discussion go. So for each matchup, in this little bracket we got here, every person gets at least 1 minute if they want it to pitch, do like an elevator pitch as to which game is better, and then after everyone's given their pitch, then we break into a more general discussion. Since the last session went on so long, we decided to shorten the general discussion time. Originally it was 4 minutes, but I think now, unfortunately, we don't have Max or Sam with us this time, so I think we can get away with about 5 minutes discussion time.
4 to 5 or 8 to 5?
Sorry, yeah. We're gonna 5 minutes. It was 8 before, and then halfway through we made it 4, and now it's going to be 5, because I think we can afford a little extra time. So,
Sounds good.
y'all ready for this first one? Got the brackets pulled up?
Yes, sir.
All right,
They're in
let's
my
do this
sights.
thing.
Sorry.
We've got Borderlands 2 versus CSGO. Maceo, you have 1 minute.
I have 1 minute. Okay.
Which is the better sequel?
Well,
Go.
the better sequel, in my opinion, because I've never played CS:GO and have zero interest in ever playing it, is Borderlands 2. I'll keep it short and sweet. I played a lot of Borderlands 2 back in the day with with a couple of these fools. It's a very fun game, very classic, very funny. I think it does what a game like its kind of sequel should do, which is just kind of take what came before it and just blow it up to even more extreme and more silly and have fun. So yeah, Borderlands 2. That's my
Sweet.
pitch.
Thank you, Maceo. All right, next let's hear from Mark.
Yeah, I was never huge into a Counter-Strike because, not really a PC guy. But it did seem to me, and this could be a very uneducated take, that CSGO was in many ways like a graphical update with more bells and whistles, rather than like a true, honest sequel to Counter-Strike. Whereas, like, Borderlands 1, one of my all-time favorite games. I had so much fucking fun with that game. And when Borderlands 2 came out, for me, that was big shoes to fill. I love my boy Sledge. There's so many great villains in Borderlands 1. And it met the challenge. It was really good. Still thoroughly enjoy that game. Yeah, so I think I got to give it to Borderlands 2. Big shoes to fill, and it fucking worms around in them real nice.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next, let's hear from Matt.
All right, so I played both these games, and I like both, but I think that, long story short, I'm going to give it to Borderlands 2 because I agree that I think it was more of a graphical update, like they said, and, I think Borderlands 2 brought in new characters, it brought in DLC characters for the first time, so you had 6 possible outcomes to play throughout the entire game, which was, like, a big change and, like, wonderful addition. And so, like, honestly, I don't have anything else to say. Borderlands 2.
All right, thank you, Matt. And next, let's hear from Alex.
Oh boy. Well, let me just say that I am not that big of a Borderlands fan, which is very contrary to everyone else who's spoken so far. And I think most of the guys know that I don't care for Borderlands much. That being said, I've never played CS:GO, nor am I interested to. But I will probably end up voting for CS:GO out of sheer spite, even though it's very clear that Borderlands 2 will win. I've tried playing Borderlands 2, I think on 3 or 4 different occasions, and I just could never really get into it. Yeah, just don't like the art style. Gameplay got grindy at times. Some of the characters really just annoyed me, and just never really enjoyed it. Sad to say, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Alex. So I'm just going to say right off the bat that my pick is Borderlands 2 for pretty much the same reasons that have already been discussed. But I will play devil's advocate here for a minute and say, hey, maybe it could be CS:GO. The main point that comes to mind is that, like, I know Counter-Strike was somewhat big in esports before CS:GO, but to my understanding, CS:GO was like the big one. Like, CS:GO really was one of the like foundational games for kicking off esports as like something that could make money and something that was taken a little more seriously. Like the first esports players I remember hearing of were Counter-Strike Go players. So I'm still gonna vote for Borderlands 2, but I do want to call out that CS:GO does have some merit here. Although I can't speak to how much it actually improved, the game compared to the previous ones. All right, and now let's open up the general discussion. Is there much we got to say here?
I was just gonna say,
pretty cut and dry.
I was gonna say, Alex is right. The Borderlands games are grindy and annoying. But at the time, boy, were they pretty neat. I just can't really pick them up these days.
I don't know if I'd ever play Borderlands 2 again, but I did love it a lot.
Look, we were simple back then. We were soft.
Dude,
we were
in
soft in the head.
I did not know what playing video games online really even was at that time.
All right, piglets. It's time to pull the fucking trigger.
All right.
Let's.
Is there anything else, Alex? Is there anything else, or anyone else wants to bring up before we're good? Or
I mean, I'm good.
I think we should bring Jesse in on
dislike
this.
of Borderlands 2, and that's all I really need to get off my chest.
Deeply admirable.
all right, thanks, Alex. Well,
I think we
let's
should bring
do the
Jesse in
votes.
as the resident Borderlands 2 player.
I will give
You would have a hard
example
time
emojis
between
here.
these two.
Or the resident CSGO player, I mean.
That's true. I think this is probably one that Jesse put on, even though he's not participating.
Yeah, I think so
What
too.
a squab.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure the
quick
next
shout
I think
out.
we're waiting on
say-
one more.
Shout out to the guy who lives like
Oh,
8
sorry.
blocks from me who isn't in this podcast.
Guys, if
All
a
right,
single one of
Borderlands 2
Jesse's
wins to
picks,
no one's surprise. Let's move on to the next matchup, which is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind versus Black Ops 3. Maceo,
Let's go.
you have 1 minute.
This is interesting. I've never played Morrowind, and I'm not even really a huge Elder Scrolls fan. I did play a lot of Black Ops 3, and it's a fun game. I don't love it, but it's fun. Between these two, this is a tough one. I feel like Morrowind was probably a much more influential game, because it really kind of I feel like it did a lot more in terms of building up like big open world type game kind of that we have today. So even though I've never played it before, I'm actually going to give my vote to Morrowind because Black Ops 3, I had a lot of fun in it, but it's like kind of just, to me, it's Call of Duty that came out after Titanfall and didn't do Titanfall as well as Titanfall. And that's my bit.
All
And
right,
you're
thank you,
right.
Maceo.
Thank you,
Next, Mark.
Yeah, Black Ops 3, who fucking gives a shit, folks? Elder Scrolls 3, I didn't play it, but I'm a big tabletop RPG guy. I like sitting around and making up characters and putting them in silly adventures. And from the footage and whatnot I've seen of Elder Scrolls 3, it's an RPG that treats its players like they're not dumb little babies. It's not afraid to give you a wall of text about a thing, and then give you some wild subplots and side quests that are incredibly detailed and bizarre, and only some weird, ugly nerd would be interested in truly following them to their finish. I respect that. And it really sucks that a lot of open world games have kind of lost their balls since this. I feel like, like Skyrim, it's a fun experience, but boy, it's just very watered down. Your interactions are very flat. Maybe that's a debate for a different day. I'm gonna give it to Elder Scrolls 3.
Thank you, Mark. That is time. Next, let's hear from Matt.
All right, so I'm gonna say I played both these games. Black Ops 3 I'll talk about first because I have less to say. Basically, they added wall running and all that, and then gun balance went out the window, and they started adding DLC weapons, which you had to buy boxes or whatever to possibly get them, and it made the game very unbalanced for people that just bought those DLC weapons. Morrowind is an excellent game, and I would highly recommend playing it even now. I'm going to list off some of the notes that I had. It is open world with fast traveling, like previous didn't. Without procedural generation. The last was like holy procedural generation. You have infinite spell combinations, some that allow flying, which even Skyrim doesn't had. They also has a kind of world that doesn't embody classic tropes of RPGs, and that's really cool to see. All the creatures are not something you'd see in real life. Most of the creatures, not going to see that. And then they had an updated quest tracker. It's basically if you combine an open world game
Thank you, Matt.
with an RPG.
That is time. A lot of points in there. All right, next let's hear from Alex.
Well, shit. I guess I'm the odd one out again. But I don't know. I've never played any of the Elder Scrolls games.
Whoa.
Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, and
Based.
and from what I've heard of them, I've heard a lot more things about Skyrim. Maybe it's just because it was the well-known, more popular game or mainstream game between the two. And I had a good friend who was outraged that Skyrim was not on here while Morrowind was. So yeah, and I don't even like COD that much, but I played a bit of Black Ops 3. It was fun for a while. It was like if COD and tried to imitate Titanfall, and it kind of worked to an extent without the cool Titans. So yeah, I guess Black Ops 3 just because I don't have a huge attachment to the Elder Scrolls series. Sorry, guys.
All right, thank you, Alex. And then I'll go. Yeah, I don't have a lot of context on Elder Scrolls because really the only one I played a little bit of Oblivion. I think I've played maybe 2 minutes of Morrowind, and I've played more of Skyrim, but I never played any of the earlier ones, so I can't speak to how much of a better sequel it is. I do remember from playing Morrowind that some of it, especially the combat stuff, was pretty clunky and kind of painful to deal with. But that could be judging a game by its age. To speak on a more positive note about Black Ops 3, one thing I'll say about it, yeah, you can make the comparisons between it and Titanfall, but in terms of zombies, Black Ops 3 did some really cool stuff with zombies. It really went full force on the character-driven Easter eggs and complicated stuff. And also, it's the only Black Ops game where it has the largest number of zombie maps in any Treyarch game. All right, that's my time. Next, let's go to discussion.
Folks, I just want to say, Black Ops did not get a lot of discussion, but here's one reason why I think it's some goofy ass shit. So Black Ops, the level design or the map design to me is just a Call of Duty map, and then they just remember at the last minute, oh fuck, we had all this movement stuff. Let's throw in a big sequoia tree that you can run around half the circumference of around the side of the map.
The tree is pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's fine, but there's it's not the maps are not deeply vertical. You're not using your movement. You're not constantly thinking about your movement. You just have a handful of areas on the map that clearly tell you this is the spot where you wall run. I think the reason why it's apt to compare it to Titanfall is that Titanfall designed everything from its fucking DNA up to be all about verticality and movement. And Black Ops 3, yeah, it just felt like a parody. It was just tacked on at the end, and that it makes me cry. It makes me very sad.
I agree.
Jesse, but
It's honestly, I don't think it's like the zombies fine, like, you know, that was all right, but like I think the multiplayer took a big like dive in the shithole.
Ooh.
Big one. And that hit is not good. And I think like even though a lot of you haven't played Morrowind, I think that you should at least be able to look at like gameplay and look at like how the world was crafted in what is the area that it's in? I can't remember.
Morrowind?
Well, I guess Morrowind is like the area of it. But, like, it's funny because like Oblivion wasn't like, you know, named after an area. Skyrim and Morrowind were. So it kind of confuses me a little bit. But like the area is like really unique, and there's nothing like it in video games. Although I will admit the combat is clunky. Think about a D&D thing, dice roll that's been put into hitting your swords. Every time you're hitting your sword, it's a dice roll.
I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
I do. I think it's a great idea. I like tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, if you like that, like, it's just at home. It's just like playing a game that was like adapted from like a board game, you know, that like you played without the whole video.
So the combat is based off of just RNG rather than your technical skill with the controller in your hands.
If you have a higher skill, then it's easier to hit stuff. But basically, yeah, unlike, you know, the two games that came afterwards, like every time you hit something, you were for sure gonna hit it if you were in range.
Yeah,
but
I don't like the idea of like me executing something and it not fucking happening. That pisses me off.
Yeah, I definitely I like the idea of
there's
dice rolls in like a turn-based thing, or like something where like the skill and execution is less of it, like you just click a button and then it happens or it doesn't. I feel like it can be a lot more frustrating when you're like, okay, I aimed, I moved in at the tactically right time and then hit the button while I should have been within range, and it didn't hit because the dice roll didn't work out.
I totally get that. Although, you know, you got to think about like the area. This is like the first like big open world game that's not procedural generated, and it has fast traveling. Yeah, it's not. I think
I might need some sources on those. I've never heard of that before.
Go ahead. In the one that came before this, they had like some dungeons and stuff like that, but like most of it was not like generated, or not. It was procedurally generated. It wasn't like actually like mapped out into a full world. So like you'd be traveling through the world, and there's like kind of like areas that you could like, you know, see were like copy and pasted from another area, maybe with just like some snow on it or something like that. This game had like fast traveling. They had like, you know, a whole map, a whole notebook that you could look at to track your quests. Just like it kind of went like all out, and they had enchanting. They had like levitation spells. Basically, if you used a skill, you would gain more skill in that thing. What's up?
Environment, was that like the ashfall kind of deal, like, or like there's like a bunch of like big old mushrooms and floaty creatures and stuff?
Big old mushrooms, floated creatures.
They did one of
the
the Skyrim DLCs is kind of modeled after
Dawnguard.
it. Yeah, and I fucking
it
was the other one. It was Dragonborn, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that environment, and I thought it was a cool mix-up. So I do think it deserves props for an inventive fantasy setting and not just fucking green grass and dragons.
Yeah, it's not medieval at all. If you're thinking like it's a medieval game, it's not. It's like full-on RPG, different world kind of thing, and like everything's like covered in ash, like from the volcano that's at the middle of the world. But if I say much more, I'll spoil the whole game.
All right,
so
we're reaching time.
Okay.
I'll make one last note and say that I really only like 1/3 of Black Ops 3, but you guys might have swayed me on this one. So, all right. Oh shoot! I need to actually get the voting thing prepped. One second here.
Yeah. I honestly have kind of like zombies fell very far out of my favor lately, just because I got kind of bored of it and its style. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this as we're voting, but like really, my support for Black Ops 3 is sort of half-hearted because I also felt similar. Like zombies did do a lot of cool things, but also it like. Personally, I didn't like that they moved completely away from having some like, casual maps.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I think they did cool things with it. I think it's more just that I stopped caring about zombies like as a game mode.
That's
I was
fair.
about to say, I think I stopped caring about zombies after high school, like after like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Black Ops 1 and 2 were like the top era. I think they kind of fell off. I still play them after that, but like I think they did fall off as far as quality goes.
I would never play a
We
zombie.
think we need 2 more votes here.
I will say the
Oh
newest.
shit!
I don't have high hopes for like Black Ops Cold War, but their
All right,
zombies
Morrowind
trailer
it is.
released the other day. That looked kind of cool, but not enough for me to want to buy the game.
I don't want to buy it.
Folks, no comment.
All right, next up is Sly Cooper 2 versus Saints Row 3. Maceo, it's your time.
All right. I mean, I did play a bit of Sly Cooper as a kid. I don't think I ever played 2, but it was a very fun game. I'm a big fan of Sucker Punch. They went on to make Infamous, phenomenal series, and most recently Ghost of Tsushima, which I am still in the middle of, but absolutely adore it. I played a lot of Saints Row 3. I think it's a very, very fun. I think it's almost more the way GTA should be than GTA is, and it's just complete absurdity rather than just kind of like dancing with absurdity. I can't really say much towards. I never played it in the previous Saint Rose, and I haven't played Sly Cooper 2, so I can't really say which is better. I'm gonna give my vote to Saints Row 3 just because I think it's an incredibly fun game. It's probably a bit dated now, but I think it captured its tone really well and did a great job of just feeling like an absolute mess of craziness and fun.
All right, thank you, Maceo. Next, let's hear from Mark.
Folks, I did not play either of these games. The parts of my brain dedicated to these games are smooth and undeveloped. Fucking sway me.
All right, thanks, Mark. Next, let's hear from
Well,
Matt.
let me tell you.
Okay, so I played both these games, but Saints Row 3 a lot less. I maybe played, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 of it, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but Sly 2 is where my heart resides. I played Sly 2 and 3. I watched a lot of gameplay from the first, but I haven't actually played it. But I do know that what they changed was a lot. And they added 2 more playable characters, Murray and Bentley you could play as. They added a full open world that had missions in it, and you could use those 2 other characters in that full open world whenever you wanted to, versus the first game, it was just mission-based, It was more linear. They added a home base that allows for upgrades along your journey. You can buy them with like money you get in the world and things you steal in the world. They have stealables where you can get money to pay for more upgrades with those. And they had character-specific missions. You could play as certain characters. And I highly recommend anybody go and play that game again because it's still great to this day.
Thank you, Matt. Let's hear from Alex.
First of all, I'd just like to say that, Matt is a real fan because he doesn't even call it Sly Cooper 2. He just calls it Sly 2, But,
Real heads.
Yep. Jokes aside, I've, like Mark, have not played either of these games. I can't really say much towards either of them as games or sequels. That being said, I have played a lot of other Sucker Punch games. And like Maceo said, their most recent game, Ghost of Tsushima, is fucking lit. It's great. Beautiful, fun, satisfying combat, decent story. But it's just, and with the new free updates that they added with like multiplayer and co-op, I just have the utmost respect for Sucker Punch as a developing company right now. So I'll give it to Sly 2 just cause Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Alex. And I'll close this off. I have not played Sly 2. I played a little bit of Saints Row 3. Honestly, like I know Saints Row 3 is supposed to be like a cool. Like I think the games before were a little more serious, and Saints Row 3 was like going full in on the wackiness. And I'll give it props for that, but. Also, hearing Matt gush about Sly 2 the whole time and having played Sly 3 a little bit and remembering like how fun it was playing some of those co-op games, particularly the one where like you have 2 people on like different ships in the ocean, you're like firing cannons at each other. That game is an incredible amount of fun. So I think I'm also gonna have to go with Sly 2 on this one. All right, so I'll open up the discussion, but this seems like another pretty much already decided one. Is there anyone who wants to come out strong for Saints Row?
I have nothing really to say for it. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know if necessarily as a sequel it does much. I mean, as a game, it's definitely pretty simple. I think it was just kind of trying to commit to having a lot of fun, being a wacky game. Like I also said before, I have mad respect for Sucker Punch. I think that they deliver with all their work, and I'm fine giving. I will vote for Saints Row as just a sign of it's the only one I've played, in respect to it. But I do full respect to Sly Cooper.
All right. Anyone else got stuff to add, or you think we're ready to vote?
Ready to vote.
Folks,
right.
I've been swayed. A new wrinkle appears in my little brain. I feel like wholesome games need more love in
You should
general.
vote for mine just because I'm the underdog.
Yep.
We love wholesomeness.
Although I didn't
All
put
right.
this game on the list. I don't know who did.
I did. I think.
Saints Row 3 was definitely
It was me.
Jesse, I feel like.
Oh, that's,
Oh, you mean
that
Saints
could've
Row.
been, yeah.
Yeah, I knew you
Yeah.
did
The
Sly
last
Cooper.
3 games
Yeah.
Jesse's picked have been in, you're like CSGO, Black Ops 2, Saints Row 3 are all
Those feel like
Jesse
Jesse games.
Jesse's
Yeah.
leaving his mark. Don't you worry. No one has anything to say. All
the
right.
next
His
one.
ass. His ass.
All right. This next one should be a little more contentious. Mario Kart
Oh,
Double
boy.
Dash versus Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Maceo, you have the floor.
Shut and closed. Now, I mean, I expect Mark to give us a proper thrashing in a minute here. I have full respect for Call of Duty 4. I think that it, definitely defined, a new era of first-person shooters. Whether or not that went necessarily the way that it's been better since, I think it was a really big deal. It was definitely a very fun game. I enjoyed it a lot. I personally would go for the Double Dash because I'm a big Mario Kart fan. And Double Dash to me is definitely one of the peaks of the series. I think that, however, decade and a half later, it's still a highly playable game, which to me is a big part of this whole series. Is I think how well a game has lived, beyond its time is very important. And for me, Double Dash really kind of exists on its own and does a great job. If they released a very similar game to this, just if they released Double Dash today, just with graphical upgrade, I think we'd still love it. So yeah, that's my bit.
All right. Thank you, Maceo. Mark, let's hear your take.
Okay, all right. So folks, I just want to remind everyone that the parameters of this discussion are which of these is the best sequel, which has kind of set the bar the highest from the previous game to this game and had the most influence and repetition. Now I want you to look out your window and I want you to picture a beautiful technological future full of all kinds of great things. And then I want you to look outside and realize that it looks like shit because of Modern Warfare, because of Call of Duty 4. It is so influential that it actually ruined the world. This game, it set the bar for multiplayer and campaign kind of hand in hand with whatever Spec Ops kind of deal. And also, pre-Modern Warfare.
All right, that's time.
Oh my god, I have so much to say, but
okay,
I got too passionate. I'm sorry.
Save it for the general discussion. Well, I'm sure we'll want to hear more later. All right, next let's go to Matt.
Okay, so I also play both these games, COD 4 a lot less. I was not able to play COD games because my parents didn't want me to play at this time, and I was probably really young when this came out anyway.
Good
I can't
parents.
attest. Yeah, I can't attest to it that much. But I know it was highly revered
10.
against everything. However, unfortunately, but also fortunately, I owned a GameCube and I got the Double Dash and and it was so much fun that I gotta give it a Double Dash. 2 people on a racer, 2 items, fucking crazy, the best maps around, best Rainbow Road. That's it. I'm done.
Mic drop.
I'm swayed that I was already on that side.
All right, Alex, you're up next.
Yeah, so I think that my first COD game was Modern Warfare 3 and then COD Black Ops 1 and 2. Those were my first few COD games. So Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, excuse me, is a little before my time, and the more I think about and play COD games now, the less and less I like them. And now Mario Kart Double Dash on the other side, I don't think there's anything I can say that hasn't been said already. All the good things about it. But that was a big part of my childhood. There's just the inner Nintendo fanboy coming out again. But Mario Kart Double Dash and Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is on this bracket later, which I will talk about in depth later, are just two monumental parts of my childhood. So it's not even a contest for me. It's Double Dash.
All right, thank you, Alex. I guess I'll close this one off. I'm honestly still a little conflicted because in my heart, I love Double Dash, and I also haven't really played Modern Warfare at all. I think I've played the remaster version a bit, but never the original. But also, I've heard a lot about how Modern Warfare was like so influential in terms of like multiplayer and like online gaming and stuff that it seems like, especially compared to like the previous Call of Duty game, which is like I think another World War II one, like this is one of the few Call of Duty games that I feel like actually innovated, actually did something new, as opposed to most of the rest of them. And Mario Kart Double Dash, yes, they doubled up everything and they kept the rest of it just as good, but compared to Mario Kart N64, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I might have to go for COD 4 on this one. But that's the end of my time. And now we're going into general discussion time. And Mark, I want to hear more about what you had to say.
Yeah. So I think the problem here is that asking someone to comment on like the innovation of COD 4 is like asking a fish to wonder about what existed before water. Like we are living so much in the world that COD 4 built in terms of how a multiplayer game is structured, about what our expectations are built out of it. I guess if you close your eyes and imagine what it was like in 2007, and someone comes up to you and says, "There's a cool new shooter," and you're a console gamer, that means two things. It was either some cool sci-fi stuff or a World War II game. The idea of doing of committing your brand to a modern warfare shooter, with the exception of Counter-Strike, was like pretty unheard of. And now everyone is suddenly a fucking expert on operators and fucking all kinds of like modern military tech, all because they play these games. And I think it's had an interesting effect on the way the military recruits and stuff. I personally probably have had more fun with Double Dash. I will grant that. It's a great fucking game. But like when I think about Modern Warfare, I curl up into a ball when I think about all the fucking tsunami of game, I guess, tropes that it has created. Truly wild.
Damn.
But well said. I will give credit where credit's due, but I just had a lot more fun with Double Dash, and like
perfectly fair.
I think it innovated a lot more. I don't think Mario Kart 64 was like a competitor in the situation, because 64, as far as I remember, was like still they had kind of like proto like 3D kind of, if I remember correctly. It wasn't
what do you mean by proto?
Like it was kind of like it was that N64 like 3D where it
wasn't 3D.
It was still like
sprites.
polygons,
it was like sprites that were like meant to look 3D, but it wasn't like truly 3D.
N64 was truly 3D, but it was very simple polygons.
It was just low poly, baby.
Yeah,
it was
low
very
poly.
simple style. I think that Mario Kart Double Dash kind of defined what Mario Kart really was.
Yeah, it's true. We did take a lot of aspects that it had and put them to use again. As far as graphically, and like I'm sure some of the items are similar as well. That game was like pretty well balanced as well. You don't have like crazy 8 stuff. You don't have like coins or anything like that. I don't know. And then like I think there were any bicycles, so you couldn't like have a bicycle. I'll admit we definitely added that, but were bicycles necessary? I don't think so. And like the bikes are great, but like they're almost better than carts at this point, for me at least. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
But can I just ask Mark? I have a quick question for you. So I'm pretty
Please.
sure in previous conversations before the session that you've actually told me, despite you picking COD 4 as one of your top sequel picks, you actually despise the game. So
Absolutely.
can we visit that a little bit?
Vehemently. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it goes into like again, like shooter games were not a like I feel like there was a fleet of people, at least people who I knew in high school, who suddenly became fucking military experts because they loved Call of Duty, and I don't think that would have happened if they hadn't taken the trajectory of Modern Warfare 2 or sorry, Modern Warfare. You know, you're gonna fly an AC-130 gunship and shoot people on the ground. You're going to step into the role of a spec ops team. Like you're occupying all these different roles that are supposed to represent like the broad, like fucking hammer versus scalpel of like, you know, military power. And I feel like it like that kind of aesthetic change from, you know, like kind of Halo and Quake and kind of a lot
Doom.
more silly. Yeah, Doom, exactly. Like that shift to we're all about realism. It's time for shooter games to get serious is just like this is bad for society. It's not a good thing. But again, like I picked Modern Warfare not because of my deep admiration for it, but because like because I don't like it, I'm very much in awe of how much it is done. I feel like it wasn't really until Overwatch that people remembered like, oh shit, actually guns are allowed to reload or are allowed to like not reload. And that doesn't make it bad.
All
it doesn't
right.
make it bad, that makes it fine.
All right, that is the end of discussion time, unfortunately. Now, gotta cast your votes. Which game is the better sequel? Mario
I
Kart
still
Double
don't know what
Dash
Mark's voting
or
for.
COD 4?
It's Overwatch, baby.
Overwatch 2 when?
With Wimston.
Oh!
What?
More
Let's fucking
water.
Really?
Damn.
Fuck off, game.
Thanks.
Oh wait,
That's
sorry. I
fucking
accidentally
right.
voted twice. My
Ah,
bad.
yes.
Wait, what?
That's fine.
Hold
Yes.
on a minute.
Much better.
Oh, okay.
Look, I don't deserve a win just because I made a long speech. This is fine. And again,
All right.
it brings a smile to my face to see this thing
I'm still-
go down in flames.
I
honestly
do
am
feel better
confused by Mark
about-
right now.
But I'm glad that we don't have to tout Modern Warfare's praises anymore, because again, I feel the same
Yeah,
way as
fuck
Mark.
him.
That it kind of makes me feel a little gross inside to be talking about it, even though it did have a lot of influence.
It's truly an obligatory pick.
Yeah. All right. So next convo coming up here, next matchup, I should say, is Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 2005 version, the original version, not the bullshit EA Dice one
it's pretty
that
good.
came out with all the loot box bullshit. So that one versus Dark Souls 3. Maceo, you're up first.
I feel like this is such a yes matchup.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, look, I respect the shit out of the Souls games. I don't really play them; they're not my cup of tea, but they are pristinely done. Like especially Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, very tight, quality gameplay. I played about 20 minutes of Dark Souls 3, got my ass kicked for too much, and I stopped. I enjoyed Bloodborne recently, but eventually stopped because I don't like necessarily the very minimalist story. I do love Battlefront 2. As a sequel, I think it actually does some pretty good stuff in terms of building off its previous game. You know, it took the original game, which was like pretty good, but it was, you know, it was definitely like still a little, you know, kind of held back in parts. But you know, had a very enjoyable campaign that I think took the simple gameplay and took it into a way that I didn't expect. Very large matches. Large variety of maps. I think it really did a lot.
Thank you,
of
Maceo. That is time. Next, let's hear from Mark.
Dark Souls 3 is pretty fun. I didn't play a lot of it, but it was fun. And it's a pretty game. It feels unfair to say that because Battlefront 2 came out in 2005 and every
My
game
boy.
games looked like a refrigerator back then. So I'm not going to judge it on that.
Shit.
I don't know. I didn't play Battlefront 2. Woo me.
I won't.
Woo me.
That it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, woo you,
I'm getting naked.
like me, you on my side. Okay. Wait,
Mhm.
you're getting naked,
Can
so
do.
I have to woo you?
Can do.
All right, Matt, you're up.
feel like I'm already
time
made.
to
All
woo.
right, let's go. So first off, I say I play both these games, and Dark Souls 3 is pretty damn good. They kind of mesh the Bloodborne that mechanics that came before it into the Dark Souls ones, and with it came a very aggressive kind of like Soulsy experience, which was great. Although I think Battlefront 2 for me was like a defining game in my childhood. From Battlefront 1, they added playable heroes, which you could not play. They just walked around you in battle in the first one. More classes to play, flying missions that weren't even in the first one. And then they added a strategic chess-like campaign as well as a campaign that followed the 501st Battalion clones from their beginning to end as stormtroopers. And that was cool to see. Just start as a regular clone and then transfer to the Imperials. Great game. Hands down, my pick.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Wade.
Strong words in favor of Battlefront 2 there. All right, Alex, you're up next.
All right. Well, my vote is for Dark Souls 3. Despite I played a lot of the original Battlefront 2 at my friend's house. I didn't own it. Sadly, I didn't have a PS2 back then. So, but anyways, my vote's for Dark Souls 3. I'm just want to talk about that. I think it was a very fitting end to From Software's Souls trilogy. You know, I think that 3 returned back to its roots that were established back in 1, the original Dark Souls, after From decided to experiment and get a little weird for Dark Souls 2. I'm not going to knock on it too much. 2 was a unique experience and not a bad game by any means, but I think it's often said that Dark Souls 3 is more of a direct sequel to the original Dark Souls than 2 was. But From Software's ability to world build and their unique method of storytelling really shines once again in 3. And it doesn't even require you to play any of the previous Souls titles to enjoy it. But a veteran Souls player will be happy to see many references and lore Easter eggs hidden within the world of 3 that connect to the previous games. It has polished combat and a magic system, and has been noted as the most, in quote, fair Dark Souls game, least amount of janky bullshit. If you die, it's usually due to a mistake you made.
All right, thank you, Alex. Go ahead and wrap up your sentence, and then we're
Sure. Sure, yeah, I'll finish up my sentence. Also, the wide variety of weapons, spells, and builds you can create your character is limited to your imagination, and each build encourages a different playstyle, so it helps the replayability of the game.
All right, thank you, Alex. I'll wrap this one up. I'm trying so hard to make sure it's not just my nostalgia goggles making me say that Battlefront 2 is the clear winner here, because if you asked me which game I enjoyed playing more, and I have played through Dark Souls 3 all the way through like the main campaign with friends, and I did play a ton of Battlefront 2 when I was a kid. If you forced me to say one of them, I have to say that I enjoyed Battlefront 2 more. And I do agree with Matt's points that on all the ways innovated from the first game. I'm trying to think of Dark Souls 3. Like, I know for sure compared to like the first one, especially, just sort of like the feel and the flow of the combat. Like the controls are much less janky, much more accessible. Really, the game as a whole, I think, is more accessible than the first than the first one, which is great. But I might have to give it to Battlefront 2 just because it does more as a sequel. All right, I think now we can bring it up, open it up to general discussion.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's interesting to look at this, because I would say probably like as a game, Dark Souls 3 is probably better. Definitely, like looking at the two games, like time between them, it's there's like 12 years difference in when they were released, so there's a lot going into that. I do think that in terms of a sequel, I feel like Battlefront 2, like Matt said, like very, very well, is kind of like did a really great job of just expanding in almost every respect.
Yeah, like the heroes, the campaigns, all that stuff.
As a true sequel, I think it really did like step it up, and can be held and can hold its head high very well in that respect. And I think I will vote for it, but I do feel that as a game itself, Dark Souls 3 is that better. But if we're gonna look at it, like as games released of their time, which I kind of like want to look at it both ways, But I do, I've played Battlefront 2 again in recent times, and granted, it could be a lot of nostalgia, but I do still enjoy playing it. I feel like the gameplay is still like a nice, simple but effective gameplay. that holds up in spite of time.
Yeah.
And the flying, I think, actually, especially all the space combat, is, I think, still very, very well made.
Something
I
I'd
don't
also like to throw out there, sorry, real quick, Matt,
no.
is I feel like that Battlefront 2, for me, is still kind of the gold standard for Star Wars mil-sim type games, where you're like play a trooper on the ground doing that kind of galactic battle stuff. I don't think, even playing some of the newer stuff, I don't think I've played a game that really captures it in quite the same way that Battlefront 2 did.
I agree.
And sorry, Matt,
Yeah,
you were saying something?
yeah. No, I was just gonna say that the original or the new Battlefronts from DICE probably wouldn't have had that same polish as Space Battles if Battlefront 2 hadn't evolved to have that. Another thing I'll say is with the general normal trooper classes, if you went on a kill streak, you'd actually get to change to a different weapon. You could like choose to swap off to that like different weapon that usually is more powerful but acts in a certain different way. So even though they didn't have like differences of guns you could choose, each class had their own like ulterior gun that got better and different, once you got enough kills.
And each
And
class
then,
had their own roles and stuff and different
They had their
guns,
own
too.
roles. They had classes where you had to get a couple kills with another class in order to even use them. Same with the heroes. You have to get enough points to use the heroes. Each map has their own hero, villain, and hero.
Don't forget hero versus villains.
It's true. They had heroes
Great
versus
game mode.
villains. I think they were the first one to do that,
Yep.
which was absolutely a great game mode.
I also feel like that game, especially compared to a lot of modern games, just had a phenomenal variety of maps.
Yep,
Like
absolutely.
there was so many to go through. Like
There were tons.
even beyond the new Battlefront games, like just in terms of modern shooters, like there was so much to choose from in terms of your area. And I really think, and granted, like it'd be hard to do that today because of how detailed maps are. I fully understand that in terms of modern game development, but it is a very big bright spot in that game and that kind of era of just having so much to do because they didn't have to focus on making it so detailed. They could just add the variety.
I don't want to gloat about Battlefront 2 the whole time though,
Yeah.
because I know Alex does like, the Dark Souls games, and I really like them as well. Although, like, the Dark Souls 3 is a fantastic game, no doubt.
Definitely.
However, I do think I ended up enjoying kind of like the world a little bit more in Dark Souls 1. And having a little bit more reverence for Dark Souls 1, and I don't think Dark Souls 3 really did like a whole lot. They had new items and like different items, some of the same items, a lot of the same items, different weapons, new weapons, and like different areas and all that, and like a more responsive control scheme. But really, like beyond that, I think most of the same mechanics were still in place from the very beginning, and so that's why I can't like justify giving a sequel win to Dark Souls 3.
Alex, you want to respond to that?
Oh. I'd like to say real quick, I feel like my understanding is that Dark Souls 2 kind of veered off the path in a lot of ways.
Yes, I did. I can definitely agree with that.
It fucked things up. So, like, and Dark Souls 3 didn't necessarily, like, fix it by just going back to 1. Right, like I think it did kind of have to forge its own path, and it like 2 had a bit of an identity crisis that it had to grapple with. I don't know. Maybe Alex can say more.
No, I think you put it very well, and I did mention that Dark Souls 2 can be a fun, unique experience on its own, but it's like the least Souls-like out of the 3. And I did mention that 3 does kind of go back to its roots of 1 a little more. And I do agree with Matt that I think the level of atmosphere and the environment and just like the feel that you get traversing through like levels of Dark Souls 1 isn't quite obtained in 3. So yeah, from like a lore and story perspective, Dark Souls 1 still is better, I would say. Gameplay wise, I say 3, but
that is the end of discussion time. Folks, get ready your votes.
I'm actually interested in
Example number 1, example number 2.
God, I just don't know.
Harder and harder.
On the sequel level, I feel like, I mean, because I respect the Dark Souls games, but I do feel like they kind of, even if they like tighten their stuff, I don't see much like a ton of evolving necessarily.
I'm just gonna stick with my controversial take of death to Star Wars.
Okay. Hey man, I'm
I like
making a
Star
Star Wars
Wars
movie.
LucasArts was still making
I'm
them.
making a Star Wars movie in 2 weeks. What you
Even
saying, bro?
more.
Are you not gonna watch my movie?
Oh, we
No,
need
I
one
will,
more
and I'll
vote.
enjoy it.
Thanks.
Okay,
man.
sorry. It was my fault.
Aha! All right.
Yes.
Battlefront 2 takes
Dear
it.
Lord.
I'm just here for clicks.
Big.
I'm sorry,
eye roll
Alex.
for fucking
Yeah.
voting result.
Like, full respect to you,
Hey, there's some dork in the chat.
but literally us discussing this
dweeb.
is making me reinstall Battlefront 2.
All right,
Amazing.
moving on.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do, we'll do this next matchup, and then that'll put us right about at the hour mark, and then I think we can take a little break.
I need a new drink.
Exactly. All right, but before then, Maceo, let's hear your take on this next matchup: Doom Eternal versus Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Oof, this is quite the matchup. I've been awaiting this one because I think there will be some strong opinions made. These are both phenomenal games. I love them both dearly. Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think, takes everything Smash that has worked, puts it in one game very well. Doom Eternal, I feel like to a degree I love the previous Doom, the reboot from 2016, a bit more. I think some of that just comes down to, like that being such a surprise. I had zero expectation for that game. Doom Eternal had much higher expectations. But I do absolutely love Doom Eternal. I think it really polished its gameplay beautifully. I think it gave me this giant, insane, levels and worlds and amazing exploration. Really, doing a perfect blend of old school Doom from the 90s and modern style finesse and amazing music. I think it's an incredible package. So my vote goes to Doom Eternal. Full respect to Smash Bros. Ultimate.
All right, thank you, Maceo.
Actually, Melee.
Next,
is it
let's
Melee?
hear from Mark.
Yeah, a big old respect circle over here. So this dovetails really nicely with my COD 4 discussion because, like I said, Overwatch kind of cracked open the hole in the military tactical shooter fucking supremacy, and then Doom 2016 kicked the door down and blew its fucking head off. Then you got Doom Eternal then like took all the lessons of Doom 2016 and was like, oh fuck, let's commit to this. Let's force you to like switch weapons 4 times to kill one enemy. Like let's make you go absolutely out of the way to do the goofiest ass shit in order to actually do things the fastest. If you try to use cover, if you stay still, if you behave at all like a normal human being would in this situation, you will die, and that fucking rules. And
This is an accurate description.
it was such a good way to shake up the shooter scene and get it out of this ugly, boring, gray fucking hellscape.
Okay, thank
once
you, Mark.
again, yeah, there you go.
That is time. Next, let's hear from Matt.
Okay, so I have not played Doom Eternal, but I did play the original Doom remake by Bethesda, and I agree with all Mark's points in terms of the last one, Doom the remake. But like honestly, I played through Melee like way back when and got all the characters and did all like the little quirks and stuff. Really, all I need to say is they added new characters, a new adventure mode campaign. Quests like challenge modes that feed you against like foes that are gigantic or have certain status effects like put on them. Ton of maps were added, including Hyrule, which people still loved to this day. They had items that would be fully customizable for the players, and a special brawl that allowed you to put any kind of status effect you could want onto your character to play with. And Black Hole Glitch, just because it was fun. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Let's hear from Alex.
Here it is, boys. The game that started it all. My Smash and gaming addiction gateway. Sakurai took everything great about the original Super Smash Brothers 64, added and refined combat mechanics for Melee that is still considered the gold standard in the Smash community today for movement options, tight and responsive controls, and technical skill. The roster of characters was expanded drastically. On top of that, Melee was given a visual facelift that was considered mind-blowing and cutting-edge for its time. it is incredible that a game can be balanced to be a casual party game while also being viable for highly competitive professional play for almost the last 20 years. I think it's 19, going on to 20, without a single patch update since release. While this lack of updates makes the metagame of professional play a bit stale and stagnant compared to the newer Smash titles, people are still managing to discover and mastering new tech in this classic game. And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Alex. Right within
but
time.
Were you hired by Netflix? By Nintendo?
By
That was like
Netflix,
a
whoa.
clean, like written response by like a corporate.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
like an essay.
I'm gonna wrap this
Oh
one
my
up.
god.
I'm just gonna say right now, my vote is going to Melee. I haven't played Doom Eternal. Alex said pretty much everything better than I possibly could have articulated. But one thing I want to actually draw a comparison to is Dark Souls. Because one thing we talked about with Dark Souls 3 is that it had more polish compared to the other games, but it wasn't enough to really push it over the edge compared to Battlefront 2. Smash Bros. Melee was, oh my god, polish. I don't know how many of you have played the first one, but it is hard. It is wonky. It is, sure, it's a fun party game, but Melee is just in a different league than the original Super Smash Bros. And Doom Eternal, you know, I've heard kind of mixed things about it compared to the Doom 2016. So
Shut your
yeah,
mouth.
I gotta go Melee. And with that, let's bring it into general.
I have heard mixed things. You disrespect.
Yeah,
I have though. I like
I
what Mark
think-
was saying. I've heard that. I've
I'm-
heard that before.
Well,
Wait, so what did Mark say? Mark,
Yeah,
why
what
is
did
Mark
Mark
controversial?
say?
And
Yeah.
why, like, you know, why is there a beef between Doom Eternal and the original?
I think my take on why there is because Doom Eternal or Doom 2016, you could play it kind of dumb. You could like walk up to big huge enemies with the double barrel shotgun and just blast them, and you could like do that with the rocket. You could play it in a very simple dumb way, whereas Doom Eternal really has a much more specific system. Some people have said that Doom Eternal wants you to play in a very specific way. I think that's horseshit. You
I
have such a
agree.
wide array of tools at any time, and there's such a complex sort of dance. You know, I can think of like 9 different ways to beat a Mancubus. You know,
Yes.
involving like different falters and different weapon swaps. There are there's brawler mode, which basically like limits half the weapons and half of your abilities to upgrade, and you can still beat it on Ultra Nightmare. I think because it's new, the like high level play potential of Doom Eternal has already been popping, and there's some crazy like weapon system tricks that people use, but I think it kind of remains to be seen. And with the new DLC that just came out, which has been getting phenomenal reviews, I think
new
it's a
DLC?
game. Yeah, the Ancient Gods. I think it just came out
Yeah, I heard about
day
that.
or two ago. Yeah,
had no
it's getting
idea.
very good reviews.
so
I will
excited.
probably buy it at some point this week. Yeah, and I expect it will be a game that will remain in the lexicon for a little while. But at the same time, I realize this is a fucking David versus Goliath situation. Like Super Smash Bros. Melee, again, its shadow is about as large as COD 4, except it's actually beloved for a good reason.
I would argue it's
So-
larger.
I would
Yeah.
say so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally accept that. So I recognize the situation I'm at here, and I have no smoke with Super Smash Bros. Melee, but Doom Eternal,
No.
good game.
Yeah. I also think that Doom Eternal puts you in an interesting place of like every enemy has kind of like a different weakness, and it really forces you to like know your enemy and know,
Yes.
okay, with this one, how do I take it out? You have to look at it and think quickly and be like, okay, if I run through this area, do a double jump, grapple hook around, or wait, like, is there a grapple hook? I can't remember.
Yes, there is.
Do
There's
a 180
there's
no scope.
Yes. There's a lot of interesting things, and like Mark said, it really is a game that forces you to use different weapons, and I think that's really exciting because I love the Doom 2016, but it kind of I had the super shotgun fully upgraded, all I needed. In this one, I used everything, and I was a master of it all, and it was
Folks.
so exciting by the end.
Real quick, how many games have you played where there's like a big ass cool weapon that you get towards the end and you like never use it because you're scared to use it and you don't want to like use up the precious ammo it has? Doom Eternal is not that fucking game. Every
You use the
single
PFT.
like there's like there's like 9 different weapons you have plus your grenade and ice bomb, and like all of those are essential. So
You'll
like
be out of ammo in everything.
yeah, and like it's so like high level play is just like it's the most amazing thing to watch because it's just constant weapon switching. Like there's such an incredible ceiling to it, in much the same way that there's an incredible ceiling to melee. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
No, I agree. Melee is all about mastery, and I, like I said, like I have full respect to Melee if it wins, but I want to give Doom its due respect because Melee has had 2 decades of praise on it, and Doom made the beginning of this fucking pandemic survivable.
oh my god, yes. Thank
Doom
God.
and
be able
Animal
to
Crossing.
rip demons
Made
apart.
March tolerable.
No, Animal
Yeah,
Crossing, cool, but Doom let me vent everything.
Yeah.
Anytime I played, I got to rip everything apart. I had a freaking blade shooting on my wrist to cut things to pieces. It was just pure.
I'd say like all my major critiques of Doom 2016 were addressed very nicely
Pretty much,
into
I would say.
in Eternal.
I think Doom
True.
Eternal is the best Doom that it could exist at this point.
Yes, I 100%.
All right. Well, I think I'm ready to vote. Anyone else have anything else they'd like to say in the last 20 seconds we got?
I don't think so.
Getting good.
Let's find out if me and Maceo were talking to a wall.
All right,
Oh,
let's
the
find
wall.
out.
It was a big, heavy wall. But Mark, we know who's really right here.
Man, a lot of 3-2s. This is crazy.
Oh my
fucking
god.
go!
Doom takes it. Wow. I'm
wanna
guessing
thank my
Alex is the
dad.
deciding vote there then.
Oh, a little
Wait, what's this?
angry.
We got 3 on 3 right now. What happened?
I
Fine.
think I think someone was just butthurt.
Oh, okay.
I assume. I don't know.
I did 2 at the start and then I took mine away from Doom
Oh,
Eternal. So.
okay.
I
Whatever.
think I voted for both of them.
Wait, what?
Wait
Sorry.
a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
what?
you did.
Okay,
Matt.
let's
I
be
did- yeah,
let's
I-
be transparent
I
about
did-
votes. I did Melee,
I did melee. Surprise.
and Matt, you said you did Melee.
I also did Melee, but I think
Oh.
I might have put Doom
Aw.
Eternal first.
Jesus Christ.
Got it.
Moving on.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's just move on from this and forget about it.
All right.
This
so,
round didn't exist.
So that takes
That's
us
how I felt
to
about Dark Souls 3,
about an hour.
so.
So let's take this opportunity to take a break, like 5-minute break. Get some water, get a snack,
Sounds
relax, and then we'll come
Good.
back for the next episode after this.